For as long as most of us have been alive, building software has been this specialized craft. You had to be an expert, a coder. But that's all changing, like right now. The power to create software isn't just for a select few anymore. It's for everyone. We're at the very beginning of the age of disposable software, and we're going to break down exactly what that means.
And look, this isn't some far-off future prediction. This is real. This is a quote from a user on Reddit. Someone with literally zero coding knowledge built a complex, professional-level app in about a day. How? By just talking to a computer, describing what they wanted in plain English. That's the world we're living in now.
And this whole phenomenon, it has a name, vibe coding. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You just explain the vibe of the app you want, what it should do, how it should feel, and an AI just translates that conversation into actual working code. It's a huge shift from writing precise commands to just expressing an idea.
Okay, so what does a world where literally anyone can create software, what does that actually look like? Well, the promise here is nothing short of a total revolution. We're moving from a world of scarcity to one of just incredible abundance.
Think about it. For decades, we've lived in an era of software scarcity. Code was hard to make, it was expensive, so we all ended up using the same off-the-shelf tools. But now, we're blasting into an age of software abundance. When the cost to spin up a new app is basically zero, software becomes disposable. Not because it's junk, but because making a new one, a better one, is just no big deal.
And this right here, this is the core of it. The entire business model of the software industry gets flipped on its head. I mean, why would you pay a huge monthly subscription for some rigid, one-size-fits-all tool when you can just create your own perfect, custom-made version in an afternoon?
But here's where the story gets really interesting. This new world of instant software, it doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. It's actually creating two completely different realities, almost two different worlds.
So on one side, you've got individuals, startups, small businesses creating these personal micro apps from scratch, super specific tools built for just one person or a small team. But on the other side, you have these huge, massive enterprise companies trying to use this same tech, and that's a whole different ballgame.
And this table really shows you why those two worlds are so different. An individual, a startup, they need speed, low cost. They need to experiment and move fast. A giant enterprise, though, they're all about reliability, security, stability, support. The dream tool for a startup can literally be a total nightmare for a big corporation. Right, and this is such a key insight. Big companies aren't just buying lines of code. They are buying certainty. They pay a massive premium for a service that they never have to worry about. They're buying the guarantee that it will just work, day in and day out. They're buying peace of mind.
Now this all sounds amazing, right? But before we get too carried away, we got to take a quick reality check. Because if you know your tech history, this isn't the first time we've been promised a world without programmers.
It's a really tempting idea, isn't it? The thought that we can just skip all the complex, messy parts and just create. But this idea, it has a past, and it's a history we really need to pay attention to.
So let's talk about the ghost of software's past. CASE tools. It stands for Computer-Aided Software Engineering. Back in the 90s, these things were all the rage. They promised to totally automate development by generating code from diagrams and flowcharts. The idea was to make programmers obsolete. They were the future, right up until they weren't.
And the parallels to today are kind of spooky. First, you had the democratization myth that never really happened. Then there was the huge gap between a slick demo and what the tool could actually do in the real world. And the final nail in the coffin? The maintenance disaster. The code it generated was an absolute mess to try and fix or update.
And these concerns aren't just theoretical today either. A recent security scan of just 7 early-stage apps built with vibe coding found almost 1,000 security issues. Over 800 of them were ranked high severity. That is exactly the kind of thing that gives a corporate security officer a heart attack.
And to really get why big companies are so wary, we have to talk about a simple idea from economics: opportunity cost. It's not just about the price tag on something. It's about what you're giving up by making that choice.
See, for a big company, their most precious resource is the time and focus of their top engineers. So asking those engineers to stop working on their main billion-dollar product to go vibe code some little internal tool, it's a terrible trade. That free software suddenly becomes unbelievably expensive.
So if vibe coding isn't really about replacing giants like Salesforce or AWS, then what is all the fuss about? What's the big deal? Well, this is where we get to the actual revolution. The real story here, the game changer, isn't about taking down the big incumbents. It's about empowering a massive new wave of creators. It's about empowering everyone who, until now, has been locked out of building their own tools.
Just let that sink in for a second. For the very first time in all of human history, the ability to build software is not limited by your training or your background or a fancy degree. Anyone with an idea and access to a computer can now bring that idea to life. This is real democratization on a scale you've never, ever seen before.
Think about it. A lawyer can build a custom tool to manage their cases. A teacher can create a unique learning game for their students. A small business owner can build their own inventory system. A startup founder can build their first prototype in a weekend. For the first time ever, a delivery driver, a store clerk, a CEO, they all have the same fundamental ability to build, starting with nothing more than simple language.
And it is no exaggeration to say this. For individuals, for startups, for small teams, we have just walked into a new golden age. An era where the wall between having a great idea and having a working product has basically crumbled to dust.
Now, this moment, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. As you can see, we are standing on the shoulders of giants here. This is the result of decades of progress, from the foundational ideas of Alan Turing way back in the 50s to the absolute explosion of AI we've seen recently. Man, this has been a long, long time coming.
And this is the bottom line. The power has shifted. A single person, a tiny business, a creative mind, they can now build things with a level of speed and sophistication that just a few years ago would have required a huge team of expensive engineers and millions in venture capital. They can punch way, way above their weight class.
So, we'll leave you with this question. The age of software scarcity is officially over. We now have the power to build almost anything we can imagine, basically on demand. The only real limit left is our own creativity. So, what are we going to build with it?